Hey guys, Jonah here, and I'm back with a Supermarket Sunday review. Been a while since I've done one of these, and I kind of almost did one last week, but I did go to the supermarket and I found a bargain. So I thought, hey, if it's at the supermarket, it's a bargain. Gonna have to do a review on it. Might surprise you though what it is, because I got some of these Green King IPA. And because the packaging was damaged or got damp or whatever it was, they were reduced from dun, 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 £4 down to £3. There we go, the Green King IPA from Bury St Edmunds. Now, some people will say, why on earth are you drinking that stuff? It's just nonsense. It's rubbish. It's not a real IPA. That's what people say a lot. However, it is a bargain. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm up for a bargain. So I got a 4-pack of these bad boys for £3. And the other thing is, the cans are 500 cans. So basically, not shy, 10%-ish, under a pint. You can go to the pub, buy a pint easily for over £3. I've got 4. I reckon that's, well, I haven't worked it out, but it's probably about 80p. Let's guesstimate. If you wanna work it out and tell me exactly what it is per pint, drop it in the comments down below. That would be really useful. Give one of you guys a little task to do. How much per pint is 4 cans at £3 for 500 ml? Right, because they've wrapped them up so well. It's really weird, right? The other thing is, Green King, they've done what a lot of people have done to try and cut back on recycling and all that kind of stuff, and use paper. But I don't know if you can see, but they've wrapped it up really well with loads and loads of sellotape. Someone has. So if you just had the normal kind of the normal way of doing it with a plastic kind of ring pull holding together pack thing, Tetra Pak, I don't know what they're called. We probably could have saved it. Right, using my knife, my trusty penknife, to do the business on this bad boy. Right, let me try and get one of these out of the pack. Wow. Oh, it's got another bit over there. They've gone to town. I could do an unboxing video just getting this blooming thing out of the pack. Boom. Take 2, as they say. Right, let's get one of these bad boys. Ah, there we go. So, apart from a piece of sellotape running down there we go. I don't know if you've ever had, Green King IPA. A lot with me and a lot of history going back to the 90s. I really like things, maybe not Green King specifically. Courage Best was always a brilliant one. Moreland, which is now owned by Green King, things like Old Speckled Hen, oh, lovely stuff. Real traditional. Okay, they are macros. They're big breweries in the UK, but knocking out traditional beers. And Green King have been around since 1799, I think, so the turn of the century, basically. So at least 200 years old, 220 years old. So they've been around for a long time. And some of these craft breweries that are supposedly so fashionable and trendy don't even last a year, 2 years. And this company has lasted 220 years. It does say something. They are doing something right. And I do remember this from working in pubs when I was younger, but especially in the 90s when I was drinking in pubs and stuff. Green King IPA was absolutely everywhere. It was before the kind of craft beer thing exploded, definitely in the UK. And yeah, I used to drink it. So let's see what we get. The only thing is, because I've shaken this bad boy up, it's gonna probably explode in everywhere. Let's have a look. That can. I wonder what this beer could be. IPA, ridiculous. And there's some question, especially from beer nerds and beer tickers and the new school of people. They say, is this actually an IPA? Well, they've been brewing it for a long time. Number one, is it an IPA on BJCP or Camera Styles? Maybe not. And there is something that's changed about this beer. Oh, lovely. Let's get it into a glass. It's not all going to fit in here, but we will see what we get from a Green King. And like I said, this is definitely a macro ale. They brew a lot of this stuff. Wow, it's giving me quite a good head actually. Let's cap it off there because the head's quite big. And look, that is what you call bright. You can see my face through there. Absolutely no hint of a haze. We've got some lovely head, lots of bubbles, some big bubbles, some small bubbles. If I'd filled that to the top, that would have been a 2-finger head. Obviously, it's coming from a can. Not perfectly white, just off white. If I was repainting the house, I might decorate with an off-white beer head kind of colour, warm white, should we call it that? Something like that. Oh, tell you what we should do is get a picture. Let's do that just to take the mic. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Boom. That'll be the thumbnail on the front of this video. Okay, so I do remember this being quite a weak beer, and I thought it was somewhere around 3.5%. But apparently it was, so I'm reading over here, it was 3.6%, which is still weak, and in an IPA terms, really, really weak. It could be a session IPA in today's world, and people wouldn't worry about it. I don't think craft people would buy this, to be perfectly honest. I think it's definitely got a place in the market. But recently, because of the way the beer duty is calculated, i.e. the tax, which breweries pay essentially on their beer, is based on alcoholic content. So very recently, they have dropped it from 3.6 to 3.4, because that's the limit of the lower rate. And I actually, if I look over here on my computer, okay, so in the UK, there are different ways of taxing things, obviously. The one we're interested in is, at the moment, 1.3% to 3.4, which is what this is, you have to pay 9.27% tax. So that takes 10% essentially tax, gets taken off brewery before anything else happens. And that's just a flat rate charge. However, if this beer was at 3.6, so the next band is from 3.5% to 8.4, 21.01%. So it doubles. Okay. So the reason why Green King are kind of being a little bit sneaky, but in a weird way, it's in the customer's best interest, or that's the way they're spinning it, shall we say. They're saying by dropping it down a couple of alcohol percentages, or points of a percent, I should say, they save half tax on this lovely beer. Interesting, huh? How things work. Right, and then there's a higher rate. Will blow your mind, which is 8.5 to 22%. Okay, and this is of any alcohol, so not just beer. So this is wine, whatever, spirits, etc. It goes up to 28.5, so almost 30%, and then over 22%. So now we're talking whiskies, vodkas, gins, that kind of stuff. 31%. So it goes up a bit there, but not too much. Cider is a slightly different, and because apples, a very traditional thing in the UK, especially in the West Country, and where I live as well. There used to be, not so much now, but there's a few apple farms around that do cider. Um, that if you go up to 8.4, they're all at sort of 9-ish%. So it's a lot lower rate for cider, which is brilliant. I think that's cool. Anyway, I've been talking nonsense and we're at 10 minutes in, so we better drink some, eh? Well, let's start with a bit of aroma. And we're getting lovely malty kind of sweetish aromas. I'm going to go back over to my Green King thing. You can get this on the Green King page. So the malts in here are pale malt, which is kind of normal. It's got crystal malt in it, which I thought was quite interesting because crystal malt is, I mean, on the grander scale of things, is a reasonably new malt. So considering this is a really traditional brewery, traditional beer, they're using crystal malt. Wonder when that changed from something that they might have used, maybe some sort of brown malt before. Who knows? Barclay Perkins would know. Unfortunately, Unclejona does not know. The other thing is that it has a pinch of black to give it that kind of slightly darker character. And it gives it a little bite as well, a little piece of astringency, which hopefully we'll get in the beer too. Hops, we've got Challenger, Pilgrim, and First Gold. So these are all traditional hops. Shame not to see any East Kent Goldings in there, but alas, can't have everything. Wow. Right, before I dive in, if you're enjoying this video, why don't you think about subscribing, helping the channel out, helping me grow? That would be fantastic. And just clicking like on this video will really help out as well. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. And like I said before, if you want to leave a comment, I really love the comments. So please consider doing that too. Right, Green King. It's been a while since I've had the traditional Green King. I have had some other variants more recently, the gold, for example, and things like that. But the proper one I haven't had for a while, at least 3 or 4 years. Cheers and beers, guys. Let's see what we get. Nice. It is very nice. Nice. Good amount of bitterness there. It's quite sharp. 3.4. It obviously tastes very weak. It tastes like water. Some people would say, "Oh well, you were drinking that as water." A lot of lagers used to be like that as well. 3.5, pretty standard for lagers back in the day. They've all crept up a little bit now. They're all sort of 4-ish, 5-ish%. Really clean. The sweetness is there too, but it's not overpoweringly sweet. I'd say the malts, maybe that addition of the black malt, that tiny bit, and some of the hops give a little bit of that sharp kind of finish, which is nice. And because this is quite a watery beer, having quite a nice sharp hopness, mouthfeel is really good. I like it. You do have to drink a few of these before you even feel it. So an IPA, session IPA, should we call that? Would probably fit this bit very nicely, actually. You could drink I could probably drink this whole 4-pack over the Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I probably wouldn't feel it at all. Wouldn't even touch the sides. Oh, lovely amount of lacing there. There are some sort of lines, but because that head was so big, so fat, it's kind of yeah, all molded into one, and there's all sorts of psychedelic kind of things. Look at that thing. This is that little bit of head there looks like one of those birds that nods away. One of those what they used to call office paraphernalia and stuff like that. You'd buy someone that worked in an office that for Christmas or something. Very weird. The drinking bird or the nodding bird, something like that. Anyway, that's what I think that thing on my glass looks like. Looks like he's wearing a top hat as well. Fantastic. Right, let's drink some more of this. Oh, has a bit of creaminess to it too. Not too much. I'd say that's on a play because this doesn't have wheat in it or oats. This is much more traditional than that. Um, but it's amazing what you can do with combination of hops and malt, and perhaps yeast as well. Doesn't actually say what the yeast is, but I'm sure they've got a house yeast. But it finishes lovely and smooth. So that crystal malt, the sweetness of the crystal malt, just gives a tiny bit of sweetness, creaminess, gives some of the mouthfeel too. I think it probably does help the head retention as well. Look at that. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. The lacing, there's huge amounts of lacing on this glass. Absolutely brilliant. Lovely, lovely beer. Oh, I'm still laughing at this every time I look over and see this can. And just in case I forget what it is, IPA, Green King, mofos. Oh, have they lined it up with the thing? Oh, they have. Look. So even when I pour the beer, that's genius. That's good marketing. That. I wonder if it does that with all the cans. Who knows? Or maybe I just got lucky with this one. The way they orientated the hole in the top. That's absolutely fantastic stuff. So there we go. This is easy drinking. This would be fantastic when we used to go drinking in pubs and do proper half day and sometimes all day sessions. And by that I mean going to the pub at like midday, sometimes even 11:30, sitting down, having a couple of beers, then having lunch there, more beers, more beer, and then all of a sudden it's evening and you've been there the whole day. This is the kind of stuff um, that aids those kind of days. Um, like I say, some people do take the mick out of Green King, but I think they do really well in the community. Obviously, they do restaurants, they do hotels, they taken on other breweries, etc., etc., etc. In fact, their Abbot Ale won an award in the G Champion Beer of Britain. So that isn't this beer, that's Abbot Ale, but by the same brewery. Um, really, really good stuff. And you see this come up sometimes, more likely the Abbot Ale actually, but you see it in Weatherspoons as well. So they have a deal with them. Pardon me, dear viewer. But if you're going to be drinking, you are going to belch a few times, aren't you? Things like this, when I drink a beer like this, it always takes me back. Um, yeah, today's, I guess, from 16 upwards, but mainly from like, yeah, sort of 17, 18 up to 25 days of just sitting in the pub. Should be studying, should be going to college, doing all that kind of stuff. But life was good back in those days. There was no COVID around. The credit crunch hadn't quite hit yet. When I was a student, I actually got a grant. Don't get those anymore. And what better way to spend your money on beer like this? Look at that. Whoa. I know, like I've said a few times, people do take beers like the Green King IPA very for granted, but it definitely has its place. I really do believe that. This has been Uncle Jonah. Hopefully you are enjoying your Sunday and are not doing too much before getting back to work on Monday. It is blooming freezing though. I don't know about where you are, but it's cold here. So I'm hunkering down with a few cans of Green King IPA. But, dear viewer, don't worry, we'll be back with more beer reviews, more up-to-date and current beer reviews. But hopefully you've enjoyed this trip to the past. But like I said, we'll be back with beer reviews real soon.